Have you ever wondered why you seem to attract the same type of people? Those who drain your energy, manipulate your emotions, or leave you feeling bad about yourself. Dealing with toxic people can be exhausting. And often, even when we recognize the negative impact, it's hard to understand why we keep getting stuck in this cycle. In this video, we'll uncover the surprising truth behind this pattern. We'll talk about how your self-esteem, past experiences, and emotional patterns can influence your relationship choices. Plus, you'll learn how to spot red flags, break free from the cycle, and start attracting healthier, more balanced relationships. If you're ready to transform your connections and understand why you attract these people, stay with us until the end. This video might just change your perspective. Let's get started. What are toxic people, and how do they affect our lives? Toxic people are those who, intentionally or not, drain your emotional, mental, and sometimes even physical energy. They often behave in negative, manipulative, or disrespectful ways, creating an environment that harms your well-being. When you interact with them, you might feel constantly criticized, ignored, or caught up in unnecessary conflicts. But how do they manage to have such a deep impact on our lives? The main power of a toxic person lies in how they destabilize your emotions. For instance, a friend who constantly undermines your decisions, a partner who makes you feel guilty about everything, or a coworker who manipulates situations to their advantage. These behaviors chip away at your confidence and can make you question your perception of reality. Additionally, toxic people have a knack for detecting and exploiting emotional vulnerabilities. If you're already in a fragile or insecure state, they can take advantage of it to subtly control your actions and decisions. This creates a relationship dynamic where you often feel trapped or emotionally dependent, even when you know the interaction is harmful. The impact of toxic people goes beyond emotions. They can lead to chronic stress, directly affecting your mental and physical health. Studies show that living under constant emotional strain can trigger symptoms like insomnia, anxiety, fatigue, and even cardiovascular issues. This highlights that cutting or limiting toxic relationships isn't just about emotional well-being, it's about your overall health. Interestingly, many toxic people may not be fully aware that their behavior is harmful. Often, they act this way because they too are dealing with unresolved internal conflicts, such as trauma or low self-esteem. While this doesn't excuse their actions, it helps us understand that these behaviors often stem from deep-seated issues. Identifying a toxic person is the first step in protecting your energy and emotional health. But why do we keep attracting such people, even when we recognize their negative impact? The answer may lie in our own self-esteem and emotional patterns, a topic we'll explore in the next section: the connection between self-esteem and attraction to toxic people. Self-esteem plays a crucial role in how we choose and maintain our relationships. When our self-esteem is low, we're more likely to engage with people who reinforce negative feelings or validate limiting beliefs about ourselves. In other words, if you believe you don't deserve respect or kindness, you may accept toxic behavior as something normal or even expected. People with low self-esteem often seek external validation to feel valued. This makes them more vulnerable to manipulation, criticism, or controlling behavior, traits commonly found in toxic individuals. For instance, a partner who alternates between praise and criticism can create a cycle of emotional dependence, where the victim constantly tries to earn the affection offered inconsistently. Low self-esteem can also increase tolerance for harmful behaviors. When we believe our worth is limited, we're more likely to accept situations that we would normally find unacceptable. Thoughts like, "It's better to have this friendship than none at all," or "Maybe it's my fault," are signs that self-esteem is enabling the continuation of toxic relationships. Additionally, toxic people are often skilled at detecting and exploiting emotional insecurities. They may present themselves as rescuers, offering advice or emotional support that initially seems positive, but ultimately fosters dependency. This dynamic reinforces the belief that you need them to feel secure or whole, even if their behavior is harmful. On the other hand, when self-esteem is healthy, there's a stronger awareness of personal worth and emotional needs. This makes it easier to recognize toxic behaviors and establish clear boundaries. People with good self-esteem tend to attract more balanced and healthy relationships because they refuse to be treated disrespectfully or manipulatively. The link between self-esteem and attraction to toxic people is a cycle that can be challenging to break, but it's far from impossible. Through self-awareness and internal work, it's possible to rebuild self-esteem and change the patterns that draw us to these relationships. But why do these emotional patterns seem to repeat so often in our lives? In the next section, we'll explore how repetitive emotional patterns lead to toxic relationships and how to break free from them. Why repeated emotional patterns lead us to toxic relationships? Have you ever felt stuck in a cycle, always attracting the same type of person or facing the same issues in relationships? This happens because of repeated emotional patterns, behaviors and choices shaped by past experiences, often unconscious. These patterns act like an internal manual that we follow without realizing, driving us toward familiar dynamics, even harmful ones. One major factor contributing to these patterns is what psychology refers to as unresolved emotional bonds. For example, if you grew up in an environment where love and attention were frequently tied to criticism or manipulation, you might associate such behavior with normalcy or even comfort. As a result, you may unconsciously seek relationships that replicate these dynamics, even if they are toxic. Another factor is the need for emotional validation. When we carry emotional wounds from the past, we often look for relationships that, in theory, could heal those hurts. However, we end up attracting people who reinforce the same negative patterns, creating a cycle. For instance, someone who has never felt good enough may gravitate toward partners or friends who are overly demanding, perpetuating feelings of inadequacy. Repeated emotional patterns are also tied to our emotional comfort zone, which is not always healthy. Even when we know a relationship is harmful, the familiarity of toxic behavior can make us hesitate to break free. This happens because the human brain tends to prefer the known, even when it causes pain, over the uncertainty of trying something new and unfamiliar. These patterns are particularly challenging to spot because they are deeply rooted in the subconscious. However, with self-awareness and reflection, it's possible to start recognizing the signs of a recurring cycle. Asking questions like, why do I keep attracting this type of person? Or what patterns exist in my past relationships? Can bring clarity and kickstart the process of change. Breaking free from repeated emotional patterns takes patience and often external support, such as therapy or support groups. When you disrupt these cycles, you create space for healthier and more balanced relationships. But how can you spot the warning signs of toxic behaviors before it's too late? That's what we'll dive into in the next section. Warning signs to identify. Toxic behaviors. Recognizing the warning signs of a toxic person can be challenging, especially because these behaviors are not always obvious at first. Often, they start subtly and become more pronounced as the relationship progresses. Being able to identify these red flags early on is crucial for protecting your emotional well-being and avoiding harmful cycles. One of the earliest warning signs is emotional manipulation. This can include situations where the person makes you feel guilty for things that are not your responsibility or twists facts to make you question your perception of reality. A classic example is gaslighting, where the toxic individual tries to convince you that you're overreacting or being irrational, even when your concerns are valid. Another common behavior in toxic individuals is constant and disrespectful criticism. While constructive feedback is healthy, toxic criticism often comes with sarcasm, contempt, or personal attacks. This type of behavior can erode your self-esteem and leave you feeling inadequate or unworthy. A lack of empathy is another major red flag. Toxic people often struggle to put themselves in someone else's shoes and may dismiss or belittle your feelings. They might respond coldly or indifferently when you share something important, or worse, use your vulnerabilities against you during conflicts. Controlling behavior is another key indicator of toxicity. This can include monitoring your actions, imposing rigid rules, or trying to limit your interactions with others. It might start subtly, such as frequent questions about where you are or who you're with, but can escalate into overt and harmful control over your life. Identifying these warning signs is the first step toward protecting yourself from toxic relationships. If you notice these behaviors in someone close to you, it's essential to set clear boundaries and assess whether the relationship can be healthy. In the next section, we'll explore how to break the cycle of toxicity and attract more balanced relationships, creating a positive and safe emotional environment. How to break the cycle and attract healthy relationships. Breaking the cycle of attracting toxic people and building healthy relationships may seem daunting, but with self-awareness and practical steps, it's entirely achievable. The first step is to reflect on patterns in your past relationships and understand how they influence your current choices and behaviors. Identifying what you tolerated before and what you want to change moving forward is crucial for breaking free from this cycle. Set clear boundaries. Establishing healthy boundaries is one of the most effective ways to protect your emotional well-being and steer clear of toxic individuals. This involves clearly defining what you will and won't accept in a relationship. For instance, if someone consistently disrespects your space or opinions, it's vital to voice your needs and stand firm against manipulation. Boundaries are the foundation of mutual respect in any relationship. Strengthen your self-esteem. Building. Your self-confidence is key to recognizing your worth and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. Practices such as therapy, meditation, or keeping a gratitude journal can help shift your perspective and reinforce a positive self-image. A strong sense of self makes you less susceptible to manipulative or disrespectful behavior. Learn to say no. Learning to say no is another crucial aspect of attracting healthy relationships. Toxic people often exploit those who struggle to set limits. Saying no doesn't mean being rude. It means prioritizing your needs and establishing boundaries. This sends a clear message that you won't tolerate disrespect or manipulation, fostering an environment where balanced relationships can thrive. Seek reciprocity in relationships. Healthy relationships are built on reciprocity, where both parties give and receive support and respect. Pay attention to those who genuinely value your presence, respect your boundaries, and offer emotional support. Surrounding yourself with people who reflect these qualities enhances your sense of security and well-being. Commit to continuous growth. Attracting healthy relationships is an ongoing process that requires patience, self-compassion, and a willingness to learn from past experiences. By investing in yourself and the right people, you create an emotional environment where respect and balance form the foundation of all your connections. Now that you have the tools to identify and break the cycle, you can take steps toward building more fulfilling and positive relationships that truly align with your well-being. Now you know that attracting toxic people isn't just bad luck. It often stems from emotional patterns and unconscious choices. The great news is that with self-awareness and actionable steps, you can break this cycle and create an environment where only healthy relationships thrive. And now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever identified any toxic patterns in your relationships? Which of the tips from this video are you most excited to try out? Leave your comment below and share your experience. It might help others transform their lives as well. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on more content about the mind, body, and relationships. See you in the next video. Until then.